The Atlantic Ocean had always kept its secrets. Some it swallowed beneath towering waves. Others it buried beneath layers of salt, fog, and time. But one secret had survived everything: storms, wars, generations, and even death itself. For 200 years, no one had ever discovered what lay beneath Blackstone Lighthouse. Until now, on the northern edge of a forgotten island, where jagged cliffs cut into the sea like broken teeth, Blackstone Lighthouse stood alone. Its white paint had long faded to grey. Its windows stared like hollow eyes, and every local fisherman refused to sail near it after sunset. They all repeated the same warning: the lighthouse isn't abandoned. No one could explain exactly what they meant. Some claimed they saw a lantern moving at midnight, even though no keeper had lived there for decades. Others heard a lonely foghorn on nights when the sea was perfectly calm. A few even whispered about footsteps climbing the spiral staircase inside. Footsteps that never belonged to anyone alive. Most people laughed at those stories, until Ethan Carter arrived. Ethan wasn't a ghost hunter. He wasn't chasing legends or trying to become famous online. He was a historian. For years, he had researched forgotten coastal landmarks across Europe, searching through old maps, faded journals, and dusty archives. One afternoon, inside a neglected library, he found a journal dated 1826. Most of its pages had rotted away. Only one sentence remained readable: "The truth must never leave the lighthouse. Seal it beneath the stone before dawn." There was no signature, only a crude drawing of Blackstone Lighthouse. Those words haunted Ethan. Why hide something beneath a lighthouse? What truth needed to stay buried forever? Weeks later, after receiving permission from local authorities, Ethan boarded a small fishing boat toward the isolated island. The old captain refused to dock. "I'll leave you here," he said nervously, "but I'm coming back before sunset. If you're not waiting." He looked toward the lighthouse. "I'm leaving without you." Ethan smiled politely. "Ghost stories." The captain didn't answer. Instead, he crossed himself before turning the boat away. The silence became overwhelming. Only crashing waves echoed against the cliffs. As Ethan climbed the steep path, the lighthouse grew larger. Its massive wooden door stood slightly open. That was impossible. According to official records, nobody had entered the building for nearly 40 years. The rusty lock still hung from the handle. Broken. Recently. Inside, cold air wrapped around him. Dust floated through narrow beams of sunlight. Everything seemed frozen in time. A wooden table still held an untouched teacup. A clock remained stopped at exactly 2:17. An old oil lamp rested beside a faded photograph of a lighthouse. Keeper and his young daughter. Both smiled warmly. Yet something felt wrong. It looked less like abandonment, and more like someone had simply disappeared. Ethan slowly climbed the spiral staircase. Every wooden step groaned beneath his boots. Halfway up, he noticed strange marks carved into the stone wall. Not names, not dates, symbols, circles, stars, and a symbol resembling an eye. They repeated every few meters. Someone had carved them carefully, intentionally. Near the lantern room, Ethan found another surprise: a leather notebook. Unlike everything else, it wasn't covered in dust. Its pages looked almost new. Inside, only a single line had been written: "If you are reading this, you're already too late." Ethan froze. His heartbeat echoed through the empty lighthouse. Someone had written that recently, which meant someone else had been here. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed downstairs. He rushed toward the staircase. Silence. Nothing moved. He carefully descended. The front door remained closed. No footprints. No voices. Just silence. Then, tap, tap, tap. 3 slow knocks, coming from beneath the floor. Ethan stared downward. Again. Tap, tap, tap. He knelt beside the wooden planks. The sound came directly below him. His hand shook as he pulled away an old carpet. Hidden beneath it was a large iron ring, attached to a trapdoor. It had never appeared on the official building plans. Using all his strength, Ethan lifted it. A blast of freezing air escaped from below. Stone steps disappeared into complete darkness. No map had ever mentioned a basement. Grabbing his flashlight, Ethan descended. Each step felt colder than the last. Cobwebs stretched across ancient walls. Water dripped somewhere deep underground. Finally, the staircase ended. Before him stood an enormous underground chamber. Its walls were carved directly into solid rock. Hundreds of candles, long melted into strange shapes, covered the room. At its center stood a massive stone pedestal. Resting upon it, a sealed iron chest. Its surface carried the exact same eye symbol Ethan had seen upstairs. The lock had no keyhole, only a circular depression. As he examined it, his flashlight illuminated dozens of names carved into the surrounding walls. Dates stretched across 2 centuries: 1827, 1841, 1879, 1912, 1956, 1984. Every name ended the same way. Missing. No death dates. No graves. Just missing. Ethan suddenly realized something horrifying. These weren't random names. They belonged to every lighthouse keeper Blackstone had ever employed. Every single one. Official records claimed many had retired. Others supposedly moved away. But according to this hidden chamber, none of them ever left. A distant sound echoed behind him. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Descending the staircase. Someone, or something, was coming down. Ethan switched off his flashlight. Darkness swallowed the chamber. The footsteps grew louder, closer, then stopped. A faint orange glow appeared. An old oil lantern floated into view. Holding it was the figure of an elderly lighthouse keeper dressed in a weathered 19th century uniform. His beard was white, his face pale, his eyes empty, yet strangely calm. Without speaking, the old man raised one trembling hand and pointed toward the sealed iron chest. Then he slowly turned and looked directly at Ethan. His lips moved, barely above a whisper. "Don't." The lantern suddenly extinguished. Darkness returned. Ethan's flashlight flickered back to life. The old keeper had vanished. Only wet footprints remained on the stone floor, leading, not away from Ethan, but toward the iron chest. Ethan knew every instinct told him to leave, to run back up the stairs, reach the dock before sunset, and never return. But another feeling, stronger than fear, held him in place. If a secret had survived for 200 years beneath Blackstone Lighthouse, then the truth was closer than ever. And sometimes, the most terrifying discoveries are the ones history tried hardest to erase. To find out what was hidden inside the iron chest and why generations of lighthouse keepers vanished protecting it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and join us for the next unforgettable mystery.